I just filmed for 40 minutes and my microphone wasn't on. All right, round two. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name, of course, is Chad, and this week we are talking about, you see, you thought I was going to talk about the book. We're talking about St. Chatties, a live stream I do every single year. This is the 5th annual St. Chatties Day. It breaks every YouTube guideline, and it's pretty soon probably going to break every Twitch guideline, so you guys might want to come, because who knows, it might be the last allowable St. Chatties Day, because it's a little too wild. You can shock me, you can make me eat blended fish, shoot paintballs at me, wax my neck and chest and face. Ugh, it was glorious. I'll leave a link to the trailer from last year's down below, and you might be asking yourself, Chad, why would you subject yourself to torture? It's because you see all this production value, you see these lights, this camera, the microphone that I forgot to turn. You see this? This wall? I built this wall. Your kind donations torturing me and my friends and family allow me to grow this organically without needing to rely on sponsors, and I can keep my channel community funded, which is my goal. So consider checking that out, and let's get right into the textbook review. A commenter not so long ago asked me, hey Chad, have you heard of this book, and linked one. I hadn't heard of it, but I did know the author. She actually authored 2 other books that I do happen to know, and they're moderately well known in the Japanese learning community. It's the Handbooks for both verbs and then adjectives and adverbs. We're coming in with Japanese sentence patterns for effective communication. Again, another act of community sponsorship. Fred L., thank you so much for sending me this, as well as that other book, which you and I know, but I'm not going to spoil yet because I want it to be a surprise. Fred sent me 2 books to review. This is the first of 2. Just want to say thank you so much, and thank you to that fan that recommended it, and for any of you that want me to actually review something that I haven't yet, all you have to do is go to my link down below. It's an Amazon wishlist link. It has all of the Japanese resources that people have added themselves, maybe I've added, and if you see something you'd like me to review, you can just purchase it right there. It'll get shipped to me, and you'll get your name shouted out just like this guy. With all that being said, I don't think I have anything further to do. It's time for the hands-on table. Baby, better lock them and turn them. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name, of course, is Chad. Take a look at this beauty. Pretty small when it's talking about a course of this size. Any course this big, of course. Either is going to be really, really good, or the opposite. Now, one thing I do want to say, and I say this every time before I do one of these reviews, because I have a mild amount of integrity. Please, 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 if you like this book, if you want to buy this book, if after my review this is something that you think would benefit your journey, go buy it. Go purchase it legally. Don't go looking for PDFs on Reddit. This girl works really, really hard. She has advanced degrees in basically everything that she's trying to teach us. She's been a teacher for 20 years. Let's support people that are trying to pump out material for our community, right? Let's try and make sure that there are future books to be made. So please go support it. And likewise, I will only show the parts of the book that are necessary for a good review. I'm not showing every page. I'm not talking about every single chapter. I'm giving overviews with concise details because I don't want to give away the book. I want you guys to go purchase it if you end up liking it. That being said, let's get into Japanese sentence patterns for effective communication, a self-study course and reference. The very first thing I want to talk about, so you guys can actually see, it's a relatively thick book. This is about as thick as the JLPT books for vocabulary. Any of those reference books for grammar or vocabulary, they're all about this size, which instantly gets me a little bit hesitant that this is considering this a beginner course, because most of the books that contain beginner courses are significantly larger than this. The second thing that's concerning is right down here. That is $22. I have never seen these in Japan. I assume it's probably pretty close to maybe 2,500 yen, $29 Canadian. But that, for this little book, most books of this size, and usually containing what at least it says on the cover it has, that is expensive, comparably to the market. But who knows? Maybe this is so jam-packed that it is worth it. Before I start with anything, I do want to thank Fred L. Enjoy the reviews. 2 books to review while the shutdown drags on. I do have a second book, so thank you, Fred. That'll be coming up here shortly. Keep for yourself or pass it on, I think is what he means there instead of. The list is long. What remaining book do you want to review most? Oh, that's a good question. And you know what? Check the comments down below of this video and I will write what I want to review the most that I don't have on hand yet. Thank you so much, Fred. I appreciate you. Let's jump into the book. Now, a lot of people don't read these prefaces, but I'll just give you a quick overview. It's meant to be an introduction, not a comprehensive book. And I understand why that would be the case, because it's only 142 basic expressions. It's hoping that you will be able to form sentences, just seeing the expression and then plugging in the things that you want. Definitely, if you're walking around Japan, it's your first trip, it's easier to have something this small than to have, a Genki book, which would be bigger, it'd be up here, it'd be bigger than I have camera space for. But the thing that definitely makes me hesitant is that it's this second verse here. You can use this book to refresh your knowledge of what you have learned in the past, and that's fine, or you can use it as an introductory textbook if you are studying on your own. I have thumbed through this, obviously. This is not my first look at this book. I don't think that is sufficient. It's not that it's false advertising. You can use it as a textbook. I just think you would be doing yourself a disservice over buying any of the other market introductory textbooks. But you'll see why in a second. Going into the table of contents, you guys can see something that I actually think is interesting. You don't see this in a lot of books. For the most part, you see how to build sentences building on what the previous one said. Rather than that, this one lists least difficult to most difficult, not necessarily in a building formation. They don't organize it by the grammar points, they organize it by what you can do within that chapter. Identifying and describing people and things. Describing the existence of animate and inanimate objects. Stating purpose, cause, or reason. Now, is that the best way to organize it? I'm not giving a best or worst here. I just think that that's interesting. She decided to say what the chapter is, not by what it contains, but by what you're able to do because of that chapter, which I think is very worthwhile. Now, you have the list of the basic expressions. These give you what each chapter, or section, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if she necessarily calls them chapters. They tell you what you can do in each section, and actually by page number. Which is a pretty helpful lookup. So if you're someone who's maybe at a restaurant, you're struggling to figure something out, you can quickly go, okay, I'm just gonna read this and go, this is kind of what I wanna say, and you can jump directly to that page. So let's start back here. This is number 2, page 4. Mr. Oda is a teacher of Japanese. Pretty simple stuff. Let's jump over to page 4. So this is what each chapter looks like that those land on. So you have a quick reference to what is going on. Now, here's my first criticism. And, I tend to like to find the good and the bad. Even if there's a really bad textbook, I try and find something positive, just because nothing's a complete loss. The very first thing that I can honestly say I'm not a big fan of, check this out. There is no kana above the kanji to tell you how to read the kanji. And again, you might be an astute learner and you might look down and go, well, Chad, they have the romanji underneath. The question is, how much of this do you know is each one of these? Because there's no spaces in here. You have katakana, kana. Is this sanha or sanwa? Is this, how much of this is down here? It's just not a great system. And there's two kind of full reasons for this. The first one is there's a dozen different fonts that as you type it, right when you hit enter and you get the kanji from it, it automatically puts the romanji above it. It takes no extra effort. This was intentionally not putting romanji above the kanji. So because, there's no way she didn't know that was the case, that those are widespread amongst Japanese users of just Word. I don't know necessarily why they wouldn't include it. So it seems intentional. And then when you think about why would this be intentional, the first option is, okay, maybe, for instance, this is meant for someone who is just trying to speak the language. They're not intentionally trying to read kanji. They're not trying to be that way. Maybe they just want to reference books so when they land in Japan, they know what's going on. My first question is, then why include the Japanese at all? If you're not trying to learn the kanji, if you're not trying to learn how to read, why have this? So if you just want to do this for speakers, you're not trying to get being able to read, just do what is that book I reviewed? Just do what Japanese for Dummies does. Just have the English and the Japanese in romanji. I don't like that. I think that's a waste of money, but you can at least do that and make the argument that that's for people who want to talk. The second people that this is for is maybe you're saying, okay, well, this is for people who eventually, you're just starting Japanese, you haven't even memorized beyond a, I, u, e, o, right? You're starting to learn the kana, but you also want to start putting together sentences. It really takes 3 days to learn hiragana. Now, not to master, but just to learn it. And likewise, katakana takes what? Think about the slowest person you've met to learn katakana. And there are people that learn it slowly. I'm not being mad at them. I'm saying, let's say, 5 days, 6 days, again, not to master it, but just to know the individual characters, to be able to start to read them on the page. So is this book for someone not even 7 days in until 7 days? Because once they can learn that, and if they do intend to learn the kanji, why not just get a Genki book or something? So that way you can, you can have the romanji, you can have the kanji, and the furigana. Why not, I guess I just don't understand if you're going to have the romanji, the kanji, just the full, like, normal sentence. I mean, shoot, even the kana, right? And an English translation, why not just have the furigana? I don't quite understand. So that's my first criticism, but at least when she comes to the examples, she's very explicit. She explains very well. They even give you some practices. This is another thing that I like the practices, but I think that they are, much like a lot of books, they're pretty insufficient. This is why there's usually workbooks that also accompany a lot of textbooks. And the formatting's kind of bad, because look, so you have to you just say practice, and you see these letters, right? First off, no furigana to tell you how to read that, just romanji. So she's clearly trying to use the romanji to tell you how to read it, but that doesn't tell you which one. Is it o and ngaku? Is it ongaku? Is it ongaku? A brand new beginner doesn't know that. So why would you even try and teach these if you're not going to actually give them the word? And you can see when you flip the page, oh, here's what she's looking for. She's looking for you to, hey, say these. Miss Tanaka is a music teacher. And then you can come over here and using the thing you just learned, and you can input the different words that you want so you can kind of learn how to do it. For a very beginner, totally fair practice, not a problem. Look at this. The answers are right below it. And if you look at the vast majority of the pages, like here, I'll just pick a random page. Practice, answers. Practice, answers. Right? Like it's unfortunate because it really doesn't allow you the chance to mess up. And so, I mean, you could be super honest. You could flip to the page, turn your eyes away, cover it, and then do it, and then see if it works. I'm not saying you can't do that. I just think it's such an oversight. You really can just push this over. Well, this is obviously formatted weird, but you could push it off one page. So I think that those are some valid concerns. Talking about at least the content, I went all the way through this and compared it to both Mina, Genki, and some other beginner textbooks that I have not done reviews on yet, which will be coming up. And for the most part, yeah, this is pretty solidly in those brackets of beginner. I mean, you can see here you have conditional, passive, causatives. That whole section tends to be in Genki Book 2, the second section of Mina, and I can't tell you about the other one because I'm going to review it soon, and I want it to be a surprise. But those are all major market beginner textbooks, and yeah, this is certainly beginner. But there is a bunch in all of those textbooks that aren't in here. So this is definitely not a comprehensive beginner course. Even within the rough boundaries of what everyone considers beginner, this is maybe 50% of even what I would consider a beginner, like the beginner mindset. Here's the stuff you need to do to be considered beginner. Which is why, as a self-study course, I really am doubtful. As a reference, I think that is really where this thing hits home. Having something on your shelf that is alternative. Like when I was in Genki, there was plenty of things that, as Japanese being my first, second language, first, second language, there was a lot of stuff that was just new to me. I didn't think about, I didn't know about. And I remember in Genki, a lot of the time they explain things very well. And then you have something that they don't explain well. I don't know what it is, maybe it's me. And so having something like a Taikim's guide or some grammar dictionary online or some YouTubers that can explain it, or another reference book. There's plenty of things that don't make sense when you're first starting a new language. In general, you're mostly okay with what you learn and it mostly makes sense, but there's a couple things that just might need to be phrased differently for you to really latch into it. So I'm always a fan of having a reference around. But again, that's just my thoughts. Who cares what I think? Let's hear what you guys think. In order for us to do that properly, we need to leave the hands-on review table and head over back to the studio. All right, everybody, that is my thoughts pretty clearly and concisely, I think, for Japanese patterns for effective communication. Now, do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Have you used the book yourself, or maybe you're just kind of looking at it for the first time, but you have some strong, guttural opinions still? Please leave those thoughts in the comments down below. Let's help someone who finds this review 5-10 years from now make an educated decision about what they're gonna buy before they buy it. So tell me your thoughts down below. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or compliments about me, about the book, about this video, the channel, please leave them in the comment box down below. I do personally read all of them. If you like this video, maybe consider liking it. Anything like that, likes, comments. If you add this to a playlist, you post my videos or send them to your friends in Facebook or in Reddit, that all counts as engagement, and YouTube raises me in the almighty algorithm, and it helps me get exposed to more people, which means I can help more people, which is the inevitable goal of a helping channel. So consider doing any of that for free. If you'd like to help me more, you can check out my Patreon with the manga club and the postcarders. Check out my Discord link down below, twitch.tv/Chad Zimmerman again. Also, I'm published. I did these as a project with some very creative and talented artists and translators from across the world. This first set that we did is on Russian fairy tales. We have a translation as well as a coloring book. I have a yokai translation coming out here soon. That'll be a coloring book / instructional video that you guys will all be able to purchase, probably, I think I'll announce in the next, like, week. With all that being said, love hard, love deep, and I will see my subscribers in the subscriber-only outro. But if you're not a subscriber, I still love you. Have a good week. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for sitting through the outro. If you did, that clearly means you either care a lot about me or you're a subscriber or both. And if you're that last one, see you. I've been saying since the very beginning that each week leading up to St. Chatty's, I want to give you guys a little bit of a peek about what's going on. Once we hit a goal, chat will be able to light me up green paintballs. So if you want to see me get hit with 100, at least however many will fit in here, I think it's about 100, paintballs from point blank range, come on over, hang out. If you have any money to give, I would greatly appreciate it, but if you just want to hang out, I'm totally okay with that too. I just like having fun with you guys and with my friends, so come check out St. Chatty's. Thank you so much for watching this, and I'll catch you all next week. Bye-bye.